Cast, we're taking the lead, analyzing the game from the rink to the field. From the ice to the turf, we'll break it down. Discussing every win and every loss in town. We'll talk about the Canucks and the Lions. We are your irrational fans. We are your irrational fans.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 142 of the Hughes Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jake Hughes, alongside the old man. Old man, how the hell are you doing today?
Well, I managed to survive the jungle.
Okay.
I caught the deadly man cold. I think it's a man jungle cold.
Oh, that's it. I feel like that's the worst strain of man colds.
Oh, dude, it's kicked my butt. But I manned up, and here I am. As always, running the show, making things happen, like I always do. I'm glad we made it back from the jungle alive. That's all I'm going to say about the jungle.
I asked you like 2 days before you came home, like, are you like excited to be coming home? And you're like, I hate the jungle. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened in the jungle, and I don't know if I want to know what happened in the jungle.
Well, something I realized about the jungle is the animals in the jungle do not respect the human sleep cycle system.
Well, it's almost like you're going into their neighborhood.
Well, yeah, but you think they would be like when I yell? You know how you see on cartoons and there's a bunch of bugs making noise and they yell shut up and everybody goes quiet?
That doesn't work in real life, does it?
No, it doesn't. I tried. It was way freaking louder than I ever thought was possible. Like there's loud, and then I could sleep through anything, as you know. But man, when there's a million creatures making a million different noises, and the only protection you have is a mosquito net that's opened on the sides and on the end.
Well, that way you can get out. Yeah.
So, but I mean, we closed it as best we could, obviously. But our treehouse folks, you got to picture this. It was opened on three sides. Like there was a curtain if you wanted to pull it across. For privacy, for the other tree houses couldn't see you running around naked. But besides that, there was nothing to stop these creatures and crawlies coming in. And Jake saw some pictures. There was some prehistoric freaking creatures in our bathroom. I swear to God, this thing was prehistoric. I did the whole circle it in Gemini, and it said it was a cross between a spider and a scorpion.
A spider scorpion.
No, it was a cross between them from way back in the prehistoric days. So we dealt with this prehistoric creature every night. We dealt with things we don't even want to talk about.
Well, speaking of unimaginable noises and things we don't want to talk about, we have to talk about last week. I went live for a quick half-hour show. I think it was a 24-minute show
on Wednesday.
And basically the entire show was, and I put it out as a clip on Friday. The inevitability that Quinn Hughes is gone and next year, and Gavin McKenna is a Canuck, is more of a reality than we think. And I said, I don't see us making any crazy moves before the roster freeze on December 19th. Well, here we are 7 days later, and the Canucks have made the biggest move you could possibly think. I think you could argue the biggest trade in Canucks history, because on Friday evening, late in the evening, Quinn Hughes was traded from Vancouver going to Minnesota. Quinn Hughes is the second straight captain to be traded from this Vancouver Canucks organization.
You're just trying to get my fucking blood pressure up, aren't you?
I'm just throwing out the facts.
So, first off, I want to know where were you when you first heard this trade, and what was your initial reaction when you heard the news?
So, as you are aware, and anyone who goes to HughesSports.ca or goes to Substack /Hughes Sports Pod, I
Like
put
the
out
way I threw that to you like that?
sorry.
You like the way I threw that on a silver
Yeah.
platter?
I put together an article on what day was that I put the article together? Sunday?
Sunday.
2 days after kind of just grappling with the fact that the greatest hockey player I've ever seen don the jersey be traded. I was working. I was in the process of trying to make a very slow Friday into a successful one for me is selling furniture. And literally I got off the phone and my phone had been buzzing because I get alerts from the Athletic, Sportsnet, all these different places. And I swipe down and I see that the Athletic had posted, and their alert post was that the Vancouver Canucks had traded Quinn Hughes. And instantly my brain went, well, no, that's not real. There's no way that's real. But here we are. And it was in fact real. And we are definitely missing, we are definitely, I was definitely shocked at the fact that this trade came now and not into January or February, closer to the trade deadline.
Yeah. As everybody knows, I was in the jungle. I wasn't getting my many updates. We would walk down to the road, and I would get the odd connection. Friday, was that when the trade happened? Yes.
Friday night. Yep.
So Friday night
ish.
9:00 ish, my time. Walking up 50 miles, hike up a mountain to go to bed because that's how far up the treehouse was. The old guy had to stop twice on the walk up because he was so tired, but he didn't rest long because he didn't know what were in the bushes. So he just kept going. Anyway, for some reason, my phone goes bing. And I look at it and it's Jake. Hughes has been traded. That's all he said.
That's because that's at that point, that's all the information I had.
Now, there's no damn way I'm walking back down the mountain and the 15-minute walk I would need to do in the dark of the jungle with creatures to figure out what's going on. Like, is he smoking crack again? What's going on? So it wasn't till Saturday when we left the treehouse that I started getting the updates. To say I was pissed off was putting it mildly. Anger was my first reaction. Pure fury would be a good word. It was crazy, the thought that we've traded Horvat, our captain.
Yep.
We traded Miller, our captain, and now we've traded Hughes, our captain. Absolutely mind-boggling that this has happened, but it happened. And did we get a good return on the trade? I think personally, it's probably one of the best returns we've ever got, given any trade in the 50 plus years that this organization has been around.
Yeah, so the full trade, for those who aren't aware or just catching up, Quinn Hughes to Minnesota for Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, Zeev Buium, and an unprotected first in the 2026 NHL draft.
Which is phenomenal. It's just, it's a phenomenal return. And I'm happy that we got a return because he wasn't going to stay with this organization. So Great. Though, what I'm pissed off at is the fact that we were put in this position once again by this ownership group to let this happen. I don't want to hear any of this. Oh, Hughes quit on the team. Hughes didn't want to make the effort or the sacrifice. Screw that. This is all an ownership. You look at any other team that has been on the bottom of the league and rebuilt, i.e. the Oilers. Did McDavid go anywhere? No. Why?
Well, Nick David was kind of the end of that rebuild process, let's be honest.
But why? No, he was there a lot of years when they sucked. Why didn't he go anywhere? Because they have a great organization. They have good owners. They treat people the way they should be treated. I'm not going to go into a lot more of that because we have a special guest that I interviewed earlier today that we go into it in quite depth. And I want you to hear it from somebody who's inside and in Vancouver. And at the very near the end of the interview, I want you to listen to the anger in his voice. And I want you to hear the words that he said before I say them.
Yeah. The fact that there's this narrative with, oh, Quinn Hughes gave up on the team, I think that is purely fans trying to cope with it. Because
yes.
I never saw Quinn Hughes. I mean, there's been some disinterested shifts from every single Canucks players in some games where it's like 5-0. Of course, that's going to happen.
When you're working for an organization that is corrupt from the top, or not, I don't want to say corrupt. If you're working for an organization that is toxic, thank you. That's a great word, Jake. Thank you. It's toxic from the top to the bottom in the management ownership. As an employee, and that's, you got to remember, that's what these players are. They're just employees. That filters down and it becomes really freaking hard to work for. You've been in places like that. I have been in places like that. What do? We go looking for another job. That's what Quinn Hughes did.
And they did right by him from all accounts. They allowed him to have kind of a say on which organizations he was going to go towards.
Yeah, because he didn't have a no move clause or anything in his contract. We could have sent him to freaking Timbuktu.
I mean, as long as their return was right. Like, sounds like New Jersey.
Well, yeah.
It sounds like New Jersey, Detroit, Washington, and Wild were the 4 teams that put together decent offers. Washington said that there was people who were untouchable, and to me, if there's anyone who's untouchable, okay, you don't get them then. Simple as that.
Yes. Pretty.
Plus on top of that, Devils couldn't clear out cap space because of all of their no movement and no trade clauses.
Yes.
Detroit, there was a specific player that the Canucks wanted that the Red Wings said no. So, and it came down to Wild, and Detroit is close to, or Minnesota is closer to Michigan, where the Hughes family is. So closer.
Yes, and
I would say closer to the east side, where the rest of his family, like his brothers, are playing as well.
Yes. Do you want to jump to the Sekeres interview?
Yeah, I can let you set it up because the way we have it lined up, it's right after you ask the question, and
yeah, unfortunately, I was running solo on this one, and I forgot. Well, I hit the button, but then you have to hit the button again for it to record, and I realized that about 30 seconds in. So the question I asked, anyways, Matt Sekeres from the Sekeres and Price Show. He wasn't available this evening to come live, so we did this interview this afternoon. And the first question I asked him is, where were you when you first heard the news that Quinn Hughes has been traded? And jump into it, and this was the answer.
I hate it when it does this.
lunch, if you're unfamiliar with the ABCOM Christmas lunch, it's the Association of British Columbia Media Professionals, like media buyers, sellers, things like that. They put on this Christmas lunch. It tends to be a little bit boozy. I know a lot of people in the room. Drinks were being bought, backs were being patted, and I was just about to call an Uber to go meet up with the after party, and I saw the news, and I was like, "Oh, I better get back to studio." So we did an emergency podcast on Friday night. Blake was able to join from vacation. Jeff was able to join.
Oh, wow.
Place on the North Shore. We got Dan Riccio joined us. Jeff Merrick joined us. Mike Russo, the great athletic writer covering the Wild out of Minnesota, joined us. So, yeah, it was a busy night. And like I said, absolutely gobsmacked that it went down Friday. I thought they would take their time with this, have trouble coming to grips with it. But here it is. A new day has dawned for the Vancouver Canucks franchise.
Now, you've covered the Canucks forever. I've been a fan of the Canucks since 1970. Is this one right up there as the biggest trade?
It's got to be. I mean, we talked about this on the show Monday. If you want to make a case for the Pavel Bure trade, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Only because of the breadth of that trade. Like that was 4 players coming back to the Vancouver Canucks, 3 of whom were first-round picks. One of whom, Kevin Weeks, was a second-round pick. Goalie, it was also good players beyond Pavel Bure going back to Florida in the form of Brett Hedican and Brad Ferentz, who was a first-round pick, and there were a couple of draft picks involved with that as well. So that was a 9-piece, 7-player deal with one of the greatest Canucks in history. So if you wanted to argue that, I suppose there's a case to be made. But a 4-for-1 with the 3 players all in the NHL, all former first-round picks, and an unprotected first-round pick in this coming draft. Not to mention it's your captain. It's the greatest defenseman in the history of the franchise, if not arguably the best player in the history of the franchise, who affects so much of the game, right? Like he just impacts game after game. He's the only player. I read this, Kevin, last week, and it was just astonishing. Quinn Hughes is the only player in the NHL that has the puck on his stick on an average 4 minutes per game.
Jeez.
The next best is Matthew Schaefer, the kid defenseman on the island, at like 250.
Wow.
Hughes has led the NHL in puck possession time per game 5 straight years, and he's the only guy who crests 4 minutes. So it just tells you how special and how unique a player this was. And so by that measure, I think you can argue that, yes, this is the single biggest trade in Canucks history, particularly since, as mentioned, it's dawning a new day here, and we're actually hearing the rebuild word.
Which literally shocked me when I finally got back into somewhat civilization and I started getting to be able to look at Twitter or X, whatever we call it, and start to see who we got. I was actually surprised how much they were able to get, knowing we had to trade him. We're going to get to that question in a second, but the return, damn good, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so we had obviously talked about this on our show for a good couple weeks at minimum. And, we looked at comparable trades for defensemen like Noah Dobson, for example, this past summer, who goes from the Islanders to the Canadiens. He fetches 2 first-round picks in the late teens and at the time, people thought Emil Heineman was simply a, bottom 4th line, bottom 6 guy. Boy, looks like he's more than that, up to 11, 12 goals, whatever it is now with the Islanders. So a young roster player. So we always thought, look, the return's got to be better than that. This is Quinn freaking Hughes, man.
Yeah.
And this is Hughes with no trade protection. So you are theoretically, handling offers from the entirety of the NHL, or at least 20, 25 clubs at $7.9 million, which is a digestible hit for this year and next, particularly given the rising salary cap. You're also going to be the only team allowed to give him an 8-year extension before the rules change on that, right? Because It will be a 7-year extension beyond this September. 6 years if you're changing teams. So the possibility of 2 additional years that you'd be able to offer him that other clubs would not. And so we felt like this was a unicorn trade. I always said it's got to be 4 pieces. And I always thought it would be like 3 outstanding pieces and then kind of a sweetener throw in. I think you can argue it's 4 good pieces. So I think they've done quite well here. Second line center was the single biggest organizational need. Marco Rossi is that. He's young.
Yes.
All these players are young. They're all 24 or younger. He's young. He's relatively a good bargain at $5 million for the next couple of years, and you have club control on him after that. So really nice piece. Maybe not the profile of player at 5'9", 180 that you would ideally pair with Elias Pettersson at center ice. You're, a little small, a little thin there, but hey, he's a good player, plays bigger than his size. He's been a 60-point guy already.
Yeah.
Zev William is a sensational offensive defense prospect. He's one of just 6 under 21 defensemen in the NHL this year, with high-end offensive upside. I mean, he's already looked pretty good running their power play. He's not Quinn Hughes, but if he can get like 80% of the way to being Quinn Hughes, so bona fide top pair guy, maybe doesn't play 30 minutes a night. Maybe he plays something closer to 23, 24. Maybe
Like
he's
both players.
maybe he's just 70. That's a super valuable piece, and he's super cheap, and you've got him controlled for a number of years, just 20 years old.
Yes.
And then Ogren being a first-round pick in his own right, with some nice physical tools, and we saw that with the goal he scored against the Rangers here. Middle 6 forward, middle 6 winger. You've improved, the completeness of your hockey team.
Yes.
I'm not sure you've improved in terms of being a Stanley Cup contender, because typically Stanley Cup winners have superstars. And I think you can say that right now the Vancouver Canucks are shy on the superstars. There was a time we thought Elias would be that. There was a time before the injuries. And when he is healthy, Thatcher Demko can be a superstar goaltender, and we'll see where William goes. But all things considered, I think one of the reasons why that deal went down Friday is because, in fact, the Canucks socks were knocked off here.
Yeah.
That this was, they looked around and said, we ain't going to do better than this. Let's say yes before Guerin changes his mind.
Now, you mentioned it. The word rebuild is finally being mentioned by management. Thoughts on it? Will the market accept it?
Yeah, so I think the market will. At least I think the market at large will. Now, whether or not those season ticket members will is another thing, right? Because they're the ones who are paying the pretty penny to go watch live hockey at Rogers Arena 41 times per year. I do think they risk alienating some people who are going to the arena regularly and want to see wins.
Yes.
But the market at large, and especially casual fans whose interest has dropped off. Like, my partner grew up a huge Vancouver Canucks fan. She will proudly tell you she has not watched a full Canucks game in the last 10 years because she just doesn't have it in her to watch this, knowing this directionless franchise that is trying to take these shortcuts to cup contention. The question is more, will the Canucks stick with it, Kevin? Because as we know, Mike Gillis proposed a plan to rebuild, was let go. Trevor Linden proposed a plan to rebuild and was let go. Now, Jim Rutherford says ownership is on board with this. They are hoping it's a quickie rebuild. They have said they don't want to do the 4 or 5 year teardown rebuild. So we'll see what that means in terms of, do you trade Demko before his no move clause kicks in this summer? Do you trade Connor Garland? Same deal. What do you get back in return for Kiefer Sherwood, whom I suspect they will trade? Are they going to go and try and get some right now pieces to try and win and get competitive as soon as next year? Or are they actually going to take a longer term view? I guess the early returns on that is, well, if not longer term, at least midterm, because those were all young ascending assets, guys who are, yes, NHL players. So that sort of fits one side of the bill, but also guys with a ton of upside that are going to be developing over the next few years aren't fully formed, except maybe Rossi, aren't fully formed guys just yet. And that suggests a longer rebuild.
Now, my question, and you've kind of been on the peripheral of it, is the ownership. I lay the blame for the fact that we had to trade Hughes on the ownership of the Vancouver Canucks.
Yep.
I have no skin in the game. They will probably never let me cover their team because I'm about to explode on them when we go back live. But I blame the ownership for the fact that we had to trade Quinn Hughes. I get it. Quinn didn't want to play for this ownership group. It was plain. It wasn't the city. It wasn't the coaches. It wasn't the players.
No.
It was the ownership group.
Yeah. We all know no, I mean, I think that's fair. We all know how the Canucks have been managed over the last decade and a half. The constant there is ownership. It's been different managerial groups, been different head coaches, been different club presidents. There have been so many missteps along the way, so many avoidable matters. I mean, just think of what Quinn Hughes has been through. And I know some will probably focus more on the more recent stuff, the Miller-Pettersson feud last year, Talkett, saying no, prefer Philadelphia and walking in the summer. But let's remember, Kevin, this team had 2 COVID breakouts. Remember that?
Yes.
There was positive tests and somehow they were on the ice practicing. And then, however many players got it, and in certain cases it was quite severe. I remember Brandon Sutter and his family. And then they had another COVID breakout thereafter. They didn't even learn that lesson. So the ineptitude, the incompetence, the imprecision, the lack of detail, the lack of vision, even to this day, there are jobs at Canucks Sports and Entertainment that go weeks and months between being filled. And you're like, how can jobs like that be this open and be up as often as they are? And it's just, it has not been a good workplace, period. Whether you're a hockey player or whether you're somebody in the front office or the support staff, the business side. So I'm not surprised to see Quinn leave. I think this would have been the case even if he didn't have 2 brothers playing in the NHL. But you put it all together, again, another season looks like it's being flushed, not competitive enough to keep player of this caliber. They want to win, right? They understand short careers, want to win. And then, of course, with the allure of his 2 brothers in New Jersey, and we'll see where that goes. Yeah, you put it all together. It was a very narrow channel to run this year in terms of Operation Keep Quinn. And sure enough, they weren't able to run it.
Which is such a black eye on this team. And there's been, like you said, there has been so many black eyes on this team over the years.
Evan, they've traded 2 captains and 100-point center iceman over the last 4 years. You show me another NHL franchise that has done that at any point.
Well, I always refer back to the Oilers. You look how bad they were.
Yep.
McDavid never left.
No.
Why? I mean, he doesn't like losing. It's obvious. But why didn't he leave? Because he was treated correctly. This organization doesn't know how to treat people. This is an outsider looking in going, there's an issue here and nobody's fixing it.
Yeah, and you're starting to see more and more fans not only talking about how it's time to sell the team, but also that they feel like they're being treated like human ATMs, right? That the only thing that they're good for is their wallet and their investment into Canucks hockey. I mean, there's even tons of criticism on the ground about where the community efforts have gone for the Vancouver Canucks. Didn't see eye to eye with him on many things, but when Brian Burke took the job, plants his flag in the ground and says, community work is not optional in my organization. It is a requirement. And the Canucks were out in the community. I mean, they had wonderful ambassadors, representatives doing great work in the community, whether that's guys like Kirk McLean, Trevor Linden, the late Gino Ojic, the Sedin twins. like they were a staple in the community. And, this player group just hasn't connected with the public like player groups of years past. And this organization doesn't seem to treat community work with the same vigor and priority that they used to. So there's so many things that have been wrong with the Vancouver Canucks of late, beyond just on the ice. That I can understand one of the best hockey players on planet Earth saying, "Look, I've had enough. It's time that I look after number one and find a new home where I can be more successful on the ice and live and work in a better environment."
With a practice facility.
Great point, Kevin. Like, the Vegas Golden Knights are talking about building another practice facility. They're a 9-year-old team. They could be onto a second practice facility. And I get that land is expensive in Vancouver, but even the way they've approached that, they want somebody else to pay for it, and they'll put their logo on it, and you get the shine of the Vancouver Canucks. And for the privilege, I should be investing tens of millions of dollars into a facility. No one's going to do that deal right now. Maybe someone would have done that deal when they were on the big, long sellout streak and lifting the President's Trophy, if not the Stanley Cup, when they were one of the best run franchises in all of sports. In fact, even David Stern, the NBA sitting commissioner back then, had a day in Seattle where he talked about how well run the Canucks were. So, wow, yeah, the mighty have fallen. And, the thing is if you can't afford a practice facility, then can you really afford to own an NHL team anymore? Like, it's the cost of doing business, and they will be the one team without one after the Flames get theirs completed as part of their new stadium project.
It's asinine is the only word I could come up with. Mr. Sekeres, thank you so much. I so appreciate you taking the time to come out and chat with me. We'll have to give Jake a hard time for not.
I was going to say, always a pleasure, and don't get me wrong, I've loved the one-on-one here, but where's the boy? Where's the young buck? I mean, he gives you so much grief, and now he's bailing out with, was it a toothache?
It's I have a horrible cold, as you can tell. I'm not feeling well, but I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Matt, so I carry this show.
Did somebody knock one loose?
He's probably going to cut this part of the interview off.
Right, exactly. He's got the editing tool. You give Jake my best, buddy, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to the Hughes family and everyone beyond, all your listeners, viewers. And look forward to seeing where the Canucks go in 2026, because this could be an interesting deadline if they sell off parts, needless to say. And this could be an incredible draft. They've never selected first overall, Kevin. And there's a chance to do so with a kid from Whitehorse, right? Gavin McKenna. So,
we didn't even get into that. We're going to have you back in the new year to see if we're still in last place.
Happy to do it.
Excellent, sir. Thank you so much.
That was Mr. Sekeres from Sekeres and Price. The old man's laughing, but you can't hear him because he still has his microphone muted. But I am dealing with a very severe tooth pain. I need a root canal. Like a week ago. So
that was fun.
Lots of great. Don't get me wrong. Lots of great points Matt brought up until the very end there. I might have been questioning some of them at that point.
And that wasn't planned at all, by the way. That was just Matt being Matt. But let's go back.
Before we go back and start discussing, you express your thanks. Thank you so much, Matt, for jumping on the show, helping us out, giving your insights, because you've been one of the OG guests we've been able to get on, and is always gracious with your time. So thank you so much. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to the Sekeres family as well.
Yes, and guys, if you're a diehard Canuck fan like we are, that's where this freaking pissed off. Listen to Sekeres and Price daily. They are so good, as you can tell, because he doesn't give a flying potato about not being accepted, because guess what? They don't accept him. They don't give him media passes to the games because he doesn't play nice. He calls them what they are. They're dysfunctional. Oops. I'm banging and my camera jumped. I knew that was going to happen. That was funny. I was prepared. No, I wasn't. You could hear in his voice the absolute disgust he has for this ownership group. I had no idea that there was positions within the organization, and I wanted to try to ask him, and unfortunately the conversation didn't allow it, but I wanted to ask him, name a few of those positions that are open. Just out of the curiosity, because, man, what is it going to take for the Vancouver fan to finally say enough is enough and force this ownership to sell? Can we do it? I guess is the question, Jake.
I don't think the fans can, but I don't know how much influence the fans are going to have until we stop buying tickets.
Right?
The problem is that I'm the same person who said the fans will support during a rebuild and that fans will still go. So it's hard for me to say we need to protest after they decided that they're actually going to rebuild. Now, not again, like Matt said, that it's not going to be a full tear down rebuild, but the fact that it's been reported out there that Jim Rutherford had a feeling 16 months ago that Quinn wasn't going to re-sign with us, and then proceeded to sign Brock Besser to a long-term contract, Thatcher Demko to a long-term contract, Connor Garland to a long-term contract. Don't get me wrong, I love and Elias Pettersson to a long-term contract. I love those players, I think they're fantastic. But if you knew that you were going to have to trade Quinn after you traded JT Miller, you knew what path we were on, and they've talked about it. They in the press release for the Quinn Hughes trade, they name dropped JT Miller. So you make all these moves, that's great. But you knew where we were heading. You knew that this was the inevitable a point that was inevitable on your calendar, whether it was December 2025 or it was July 2026.
Are you surprised?
I am surprised at the ineptitude of the management, not of ownership.
Look what the ownership made the management team do to our head coach. Probably one of the coolest, I think one of the funniest, fun coaches we ever had.
Which one?
Boudreau.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look how they treated that man.
Well, that to me more is a point not on ownership but on management, because Rutherford and Allvin weren't consulted before Bruce Boudreau was hired. Again, missed that from ownership there, but the fact that the way it was handled is on management. There are a lot of things that have been mismanaged by this management group, and we've talked about it last year. I'm concerned that they're being given the green light to rebuild, if that is indeed the case.
You're concerned they haven't been?
I'm concerned that they have been, because that means this isn't a full rebuild. This is we're 2 years away.
This is tweaking. And that's my fear, is this is going to just be a tweak. And because this is all about ego. Whenever you look at a dysfunctional organization, and I'm 61, I've been around. I've been in different positions in different organizations, both in a volunteer position as well as a paid position, from high management to low guy on the totem pole. I can tell you every single time that you see a complete dysfunctional organization, the guy or people up top have an ego issue.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that's what's going on here. This is all about Mr. What's his name? I can't even think of his name.
Aquilini.
Mr. Aquilini wants a championship ring. He will kill this team.
Francesco Aquilini wants to hang out with sports stars. That's what he wants. He wants to take his fancy playthings, the players in this case, and take them to dinner at one of their many restaurants that they own, and feel important. And make these decisions that he has no idea of what he's doing.
He's not a hockey guy.
The best owners and management I've ever dealt with know when they don't know things.
Yes.
They'll say, I hired the best marketer in the world. Why? Because I'm not good at marketing.
So let them market.
Right? And there needs to come to a point where he needs to realize that, and it's not going to happen because there's no, like, his dad is technically the owner, like the Aquilini family owns it as a group, but his dad is the patriarch of that family.
Yes.
He's in his, I want to say, late 70s.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I don't think has the power at this point anymore to come through and say, stop touching things, you're breaking it.
We went from an organization that was the pride of the NHL. No, the pride of all sports. You heard Matt Sekeres say it. We had the commissioner of the NBA say Vancouver is how every team in sports should be run.
Yep.
Nobody's saying that today.
No, it's ridiculous.
It's the same owners.
Yep. But now they're losing.
Something went wrong and nobody's fixing it. If you can't, and I said it to Matt, and I'll say it till the day I take my last breath, if you can't build a practice facility, you shouldn't own an NHL team. It's pretty simple. You're in the construction business, for Pete's sake.
But the problem is they don't want to spend their money.
No, they want, like Matt said, they want somebody else to put out the $10 billion, and then they can have their name on it. Nobody wants their name on the Vancouver Canucks right now.
No.
Hi, come to my hardware store. We're the home of the losers. Nobody's going to do that. Jesus. I got to stop getting angry. And this is where I freaking wish I wasn't such an irrational fan, because God damn, I get angry. I am so upset about it. Home. But what I want is I want 2011 back. I want that organization that we had. Like, even if we were losing, if that organization was still there, guess what? Quinn Hughes doesn't go anywhere. Miller doesn't go anywhere. Horvat doesn't go anywhere. Demko won't go anywhere. Garland won't go anywhere. Oh my God, do we have a fucking team on our hands?
Now, I want to talk about those last two guys you mentioned. Connor Garland, Thatcher Demko. Matt mentioned they're both in their last year of a contract that has no trade protection.
Yeah.
Would you be shocked to see either one of them moved? And what do you think a decent return is for?
Well, for Demko, that return has dropped so drastically. I mean, the last game last night, was the first time he's played 3 games in a row all season. And
in 3 games, I think in almost 2 years.
Yeah,
like 2 calendar years.
So his return is not going to be great. Let's face it. Does it need to be great? I don't think it does. I think our organization has a halfway decent depth in goalies right now.
Yep.
So,
but so what? When you say it doesn't need to be a great return, what is that? What are you picturing?
A backup
Patrik
goalie.
Demko gets traded now.
A backup goalie.
That's it. That's all you're expecting out of a trade for Thatcher Demko?
Maybe a second rounder.
Oh, I think you are very low on Thatcher Demko. Don't get me wrong. I understand his injury risk.
Who's going to take that chance?
Team USA. They were at the coach for the Rangers is the head coach for Team USA and is part of the management decision making team. I would not be surprised for the Olympics if NHL players are going.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, we're still talking if. We'll get into that next week because we've had so much to talk about with just Quinn Hughes trade. If he gets the high spotlight at the Olympics and goes, I think you're easily getting a first round pick plus a prospect.
If he shines, I would agree.
If he becomes the starter, or if it's a 1A 1B situation and the Americans do well.
Yes,
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Now, Connor Garland, what do you think a decent return? What would you be happy with a return for Garland, who's been our best player?
I don't want to discuss it because losing Garland, man, that little guy.
Like last night,
he has more heart than probably. He has a bigger heart than anybody on the ice on any team. I mean, he's only like 5'2", but he plays like he's 7 feet tall. I don't know.
The play he made last night against the Rangers with 2.5 minutes left, to be able to not only to get to the puck first off of the rebound, the play going to the board, but being able to land it almost dead center from his end of the ice at the hash marks to score an empty net goal.
But not only to do that, he had to literally pass the puck to himself from the center, just off in front of his own net, to the corner, and then do that weird kneel down flippy thing he does. That
all while on his backhand. This wasn't a forehand shot. This was a backhand shot for him.
I message you, and I'm not too often will I get excited about a open an open net goal, but that entire play was so phenomenal. That just shows the heart that kid has. And so for that reason alone, nothing will satisfy me. If we get rid of Garland, my mind's going to be blown. My heart will be sad. I'll probably cry on the air, Jake.
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned the fact that you hate being an irrational fan. I want to bring up a tweet here that I put out. Let me see if I can find it. Right here.
What's he doing, folks?
This was posted as literally 7 minutes after 6, so I was literally still processing the entire trade. 6 o'clock Mountain Time, so 5 o'clock. If I knew last night was his last game, I would have cried. Fuck, I hate being irrational. Simple as that.
Isn't that the truth?
People are always like, "Oh, you're like, you just don't take it so seriously." I wish I had that switch in my brain at the point, and I've talked about it. I'm apathetic towards this team right now. It's like, ooh, last night we won a game.
We won 2 in a row, and I'm like, oh, you fucking idiot! Stop winning.
The best part about that is we won 2 in a row. We're still last in the league in points and in the leagues by point percentage. So we're solid.
We're solid. We're last. That's good. But Jake inherited this from me. I inherited this from my brothers, where there's no off switch. There's no, and people say it all the time to me. Well, just don't get so emotional over it.
I wish.
That's not possible. I can't. There's no switch in my brain. There's nothing functional in my body that would allow me to watch a BC Lions game or a Vancouver Canucks game or even a Seattle Seahawks game or any team that I even partially have a love for.
The Winter Olympics, the Summer Olympics.
Right? The World Juniors.
The World Championship, FIFA World Cup that's happening next year.
There's nothing, sports are my passion. Yeah. So I guess I just wish everybody had as much passion as Jake and I do about anything.
But I also wish we could turn it off. Where it's just okay, we're done. Just turn it off and be done with it.
Jake, I was driving in the transport taking us back from the resort to the airport in Dominican, And I was finally able to really kind of settle in and look at what happened. And I couldn't control my emotions. It was, what have we done? Like, literally in 4 years, traded 3 captains.
2 captains.
Horvat, Miller.
Miller was never a captain.
I thought Miller was our captain.
No, we went from Horvat to Quinn.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But still two captains and 100-point centerman. Don't get me wrong. They made the right decision in trading Miller over Pettersson if it came down to it.
I loved watching Miller's interview last night after the game. He was so mad. Oh, he was so mad. And I got a little bit of joy.
But the Rangers organization, that's who they wanted as their captain. They wanted someone to be. They wanted the team to be more like Miller.
Good. If half the rumor is true, good on them, because that's not somebody I want on my team.
Nope. Sorry, you brought up the being irrational about the BC Lions. We haven't talked much about BC Lions because there hasn't been a lot of news. There is side news, tangential news that is parallel with the the BC Lions, and that is the fact that last week the Vancouver Whitecaps FC, and the city of Vancouver signed a memorandum of understanding to explore a new stadium and entertainment district at Hastings Park.
Oh,
revitalizing the what is it?
The old racetrack.
The racetrack, yeah.
Yeah, the horse racing track. Do you know our family has a huge history dating back to when they started that track?
I did not, but there's rumors flying that because the Whitecaps cannot play at BC Place long term because of how BC Place does everything.
Yeah.
They don't earn, basically at BC Place, you don't earn revenue on anything.
No.
Except for your store, like your shirts and stuff that you supply.
Yeah. There's no concession revenue.
Yeah. Rumors are starting to float that Amar Doman is chatting with the Whitecaps and the Vancouver councilors to be a part of this deal and move the Vancouver.
Wouldn't that be something?
Move the BC Lions and the Whitecaps to one location, which would be the Hastings Park. Now, that leaves a huge gaping hole downtown BC with a BC Place stadium that they refuse to put any sponsorship on.
Yep.
With no yearly tenants. If things happen. The memorandum is exclusive negotiating period through 2026, so a full year of negotiating to see if they can come up with a plan. I would assume you don't enter a memorandum of understanding unless there is already preliminary talks that have been going positive.
Well, I've heard this rumor for a long time. I'm going back to Grey Cup in Vancouver. I heard this rumor.
Yeah, so
just with the Whitecaps, not with the Lions being involved.
Yeah, if BC Place Stadium loses the Whitecaps and the Lions stay, obviously a shot to the BC Place Stadium and their revenue.
Yeah.
But before the Whitecaps were around, that's how it was for years and years and years.
Yeah.
If the BC Lions lose, that's some really prime real estate right close to Rogers Arena.
Well, it's right beside. You knock that down and build a practice facility there? Wow.
Or do you build a new arena and change Rogers Arena to your practice facility?
It would be easier. Wow.
Right?
Not with this.
It's just one of those things where, again, I've gotten no confirmation from anyone I've reached out to in circles. They say they've heard the rumors, but they haven't been able to confirm anything either. So it just internet rumor and innuendo at this point, but it's something to keep an eye on throughout the rest of 2026.
Well, I happen to have some contacts with the BC Lions. I will maybe reach out over the next week and find out what they're hearing.
See, at least get some sort of insight to what other people are hearing too, right?
Yeah, it'd be great. Be great.
Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up the show, seeing as we've gone almost an hour here talking solely about the Quinn Hughes trade?
What is it going to take for fans to revolt? At what point do fans say, we're done?
2028.
Yeah, but
2028. I give it 2 years for two reasons. One, they've acquiesced to the request of the diehards and the team tank people. They probably will see a huge revenue loss from 26 from season 26 to 27.
Yeah, and 28.
Well, my thought process is if they're looking at a quick rebuild, in their words, a fast turnaround, 2 years is that kind of that turnaround.
Yeah.
If this organization doesn't deliver on that promise of we're rebuilding, we're gonna get younger, we're gonna bring in all the right people. If they don't do that, I think you've lost the people who say never. The people who are season ticket holders now, who are like, I'm not going to go watch a losing team. You're going to lose the people who said, I will support this team during a rebuild because you've proven you can't be trusted to rebuild.
Yeah.
And you've lost your diehard fan base. Those are your two chunks.
So at that point, the Aquilini say, that's it, we're done. We're not going to lose any more money. We're selling our team.
Yep.
What's the risk of Vancouver losing a franchise?
0.
Yeah. I agree. I wanted to make sure I phrased it right because I was talking to my brother and I'm terrified they're going to lose the team. And I'm like, I can't see that ever happening. It's too big of a hockey city.
Yeah. If behind the scenes look at the podcast, I go through every couple weeks and look at like the charts for most popular sports podcast in Canada, just to see if we're ranking anywhere on any of the lists, because I like to know.
Are we?
No.
No. Okay. Just wanted to know.
The top like 4 are, or the top 2 are Toronto.
Yeah.
The next two are Vancouver.
Exactly. Right?
You're not losing. You're not gonna, and then the NHL will not allow them to move.
No, won't happen. I agree.
Very different than the Calgary situation from a few years past before they got the new arena done.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, Calgary. Don't get me wrong, Calgarians love the Flames, but they're not. A, the population isn't there.
No.
And B, I don't want to bash a lot. Most of their fans are not diehard Canuck fans.
Are Flames fans?
No. But comparing, if you take a generic, someone who calls themselves a diehard Flames fan, a diehard Canucks fan, too different because it's two different fan bases, and that's fine. Like every fan base is different. Look at Toronto; they hate their team just as much as the Canucks do, but it's a different hatred.
Yes.
Right? It's. Yeah, I there would be. Don't get me wrong. There's a non-zero chance. I think it's infinitesimally minor that this team would ever be moved from Vancouver.
I totally agree.
I mean, could they end up moving out of downtown Vancouver one day? 100%, I could see that.
Yeah, they could go and build somewhere around the old Coliseum at the PNE, right? And on East Hastings, but farther up towards North Burnaby. Quite easily. There's lots of places, lots of opportunity.
Well, it's almost like that's where you would want to build like a facility, because that's about half hour away from Rogers Arena.
And the Whitecaps have been around for a fucking cup of coffee in their new iteration.
Yep.
Are building a new arena. Think about this, folks.
I mean, it got to the point where the week you were gone, the MLS president or whatever commissioner, I don't know what name he goes by, basically said if the Whitecaps don't find a new place, like a new permanent facility, the Whitecaps will no longer cease to exist in Vancouver.
But They've been around for a cup of coffee.
But they're successful. They know what they're doing. You don't think you don't bring in a player
Stop
to the
there.
level.
Stop
You don't bring in a player at the level of a Mueller
Oh,
who literally would have his pick of any MLS team to go to, or MLS team to go to, and chose Vancouver.
so you don't
Because
bring
you're
in like the
incompetent.
greatest hockey mind Vancouver's ever seen in a Trevor Linden, and then ceremoniously dump his ass because he gives you a great idea.
I mean, just look at it.
God, I hate these freaking owners. I've never
last
hated
7
anybody when I haven't met them. I've never met anybody, like I've never even seen, I couldn't pick them out of a crowd. And I hate them right now. With every fiber of my body.
In the span of 7 months, we lost, in my opinion, the best coach we've ever had.
Yes.
Rick Tocchet, one of the best coaches we've ever had. And not in a sense of winning record or anything, but the way he was able to break down the game and was willing to with the media.
Yep.
And we lost probably, and I will say it, a top 5 player in the league right now, and the best mind to ever lace up skates, and the best player, not defensive player, the best player the Canucks have ever had, period. End of story.
It's enough to make a grown man cry.
Hey, I did. And on that note, we will be back next week, and hopefully we'll have some like more positive things to say, because we barely got into Zeev Byam scoring, Ogren scoring, which means Marco Rossi's next to score on the game on, I think it's Friday.
And probably our draft pick is going to score.
Well, I mean, eventually we're going to have to play someone if we're trading everyone. So
no, I meant the draft pick we got from the Wild.
Yeah, no. We're literally just it's going to be an empty spot on the ice, and with all the patterns and everything. Player to be determined.
Oh my.
But yeah, check us out on social media at HSP_pod. You can go to our website, hughesports.ca, which is also links directly to our Substack, where we post the podcast, as well as I'm writing articles whenever I have the time and motivation to do so. Trying to do at least one a week, and you can support us there. Hit that like button, subscribe, follow us everywhere you can. Give us some ratings. Ratings are really important to us on the podcast platforms, as they'll help boost us, and of course sharing it with your friends. Anything else you want to add, old man, before we wrap up the show?
Nope, just I am officially on Team Tank.
Never would I see the day where the old man is happy to be alongside me and Team Tank and watch his team plummet
before
to 30
Christmas.
Seconds. So we can draft Gavin McKenna first overall. BC boy drafted to Vancouver Canucks.
No, he's not a BC boy. He's from the
he's from the Northwest, or from Yukon. However, he played all of his junior hockey and younger hockey in Vancouver.
Oh, did he? Okay, I'll let you away with that.
Yeah. He was born there. He grew up in from a very young age, because I mean, he's been talked about for 4 years as the consensus number 1 overall pick for the 2026 draft. So,
and apparently in the first workout at the World Juniors, he was amazing. So I'm getting excited about the World Juniors, which we'll talk about next week.
Yes. Well,
no, we won't, because it'll be Christmas night.
I was just thinking that it'll be Christmas Eve, the 24th. We'll have to record. We'll have to find a time to record an episode.
Don't you even.
Don't you even record an episode.
We did this last year, folks. We recorded an episode to go out on the 24th.
Hey, however, the difference is this year. No, that was 2 years ago we did that.
Did we? No, it was last year.
It was last year. No, it wasn't. It was 2 years ago. Either way, we'll figure out how we're doing how an episode's going to come out to you. Maybe we'll skip the next 2 weeks.
Or maybe we go Tuesday instead of Wednesday. Oh.
We can talk about that off air. But have yourselves a wonderful night, everyone. Mwah. Goodbye. Peace.